guys, welcome back for another battle report. This time it's Dragon Rampant. We're going to have a go at the death chase here. In this scenario, my opposing player who's got the Undead will have to try and get up the opposite tail edge, and it'll be my job to try and stop him. So this is the setup for the start of the game. As you can see on the bottom side here is all the Undead, the grey guys. There's a little silver dude in between there as well, that's his summoner. And on my side, on the far side there, behind the house there, I've got one unit of Lightfoot, they're my spearmen, and the rest of my force down here. We'll just have a closer look right now. Okay, so let's start with the Undead. At the top there, we have the spearmen, which are just Lightfoot. Below them are another Lightfoot unit, but with the offensive ability. This makes their attack value a bit better. In this game, you have two different values when you engage in combat. You have one that you use if you are charged, and one that you use if you actually charge the enemy. Spearmen's charge the enemy are 5 up, while their defense is 4 up. So with the offensive, all these guys become 4/4. Down below them, there is a summoner. He is a heavy missile troop with the summon ability. Below him, he's got another Lightfoot spear, and then below that is some heavy cavalry. It is a 6-man unit, but unfortunately just broke one of his cavalry models, so he is there, but not there, if you know what I mean. And on my side, we'll start at the bottom. We have elite cavalry unit. These guys are really tough, with good armor, but unfortunately they have wild charge. Next guys up are my little crossbowmen hunters. They're my scouts. Then we have my Griffin, which is basically an elite cavalry unit with the fly ability and level-headed. Behind them is my Lightfoot spearmen. In this game, if you're going to do characters or monsters, they basically count as a unit. So each unit has a set amount of wounds, either 12 or 6, depending on its type. So in this case, my Griffin just has 6 wounds. In all other circumstances, it just counts like the same as a normal unit would be. So it's nice and easy for that, so you can create what you like with it. I mean, if you wanted to, you didn't have to use units, you could use characters. If you want to do a character bash against each other, that would be fine. Just need an easy way of keeping a tally on like 12 wounds if you're going to choose from the infantry types. And here's my other unit of Lightfoot on the far hand side there, just behind the building. So the Dark Age troops managed to start sealing up the holes in the centre. I bring my Lightfoot down the hill. My other Lightfoot move around the cornfield, and my scouts gone into the cornfield. They have fleet-footed, so they're not slowed down by the cornfield. My cavalry, my elite cavalry, have also moved up to the centre, just ready to take on any charges. Unfortunately, I failed on my leader, who's also elite cavalry. If you want to move someone in this game, it's a 2-dice check against whatever you want them to do. So it could be a shoot, attack, or move. And in most cases, the Lightfoot and that are a 5+ to move, while my elite cavalry are a 7+. My undead opponent in his turn managed to move everything as well, and it's all looking pretty good. The other rule for this scenario, I think, is in the first 2 turns we can't fight each other. So you've got 2 turns of freedom to try and run through, and then it hits the fan. Here's a shot just from behind my lines. And as you see, my guys, my spearmen, have moved further in behind. But unfortunately, I didn't manage to do much on my side, and my opponents moved up further yet still again. The other thing to mention is our commanders have a trait which you randomly roll for at the beginning. Now, my commander's trait was any unit within 12 inches. One unit can, I can get a reroll of one of my actions once per turn. And unfortunately, my opponent had a bad roll and resolved at not being able to give any bonus to courage within his 12-inch limit that a leader normally gives. So with my wild charge, you have an order of doing things. First you rally your troops, then you do any wild charges. The spearmen on the hill are the only thing in charge range. Unfortunately, because I was charging uphill, they'll get a +1 armor. Armor in this effectively works as how many hits you have to do to cause a single wound. So up this hill, the Lightfoot have armor 3. So for every 3 hits, I do 1 wound on them. Obviously, they're a unit of 12, so that's 12 wounds. While my elite cavalry have armor 4, so they need 4 hits to cause them. But I managed to charge up the hill and do a couple of casualties while only receiving 1, so I managed to drive them back. So after the wild charge, I managed to move the spearmen in the middle of the table there to that position, and I think I then tried to activate the far side. No, I think I activate my general, but being on 7+, I unfortunately failed and went over to my opponent's turn. Now, unfortunately for my opponent, he tried to use his summoner or heavy missile unit to fire at my elite cavalry, but failed to activate them. So it was immediately back to my turn and starting with the wild charges, and I'm going straight for his leader because as well as what you have glory points in this. So the mission, the actual scenario, in which case my opponent will get three points for each unit over half strength he gets off the other end of the board, and I get 2 for destroying each of his units. Not only that, you also have up to three secret ones that you also do. Problem is, if you don't succeed in any of them, you get -1 to your glory points at the end, and whoever wins the game is the one is the one with the most glory points. One of the ones that I picked was destroy the enemy's leader, so I charge into him here. Again, he's on the hill, so he gets an additional armor, but I managed to get 2 wounds through. This guy counts as a 12 wound model. I tend to use red dice for wounds because neither of us use red dice for rolling to hit in that. Hitting in this, you just have a hit value. For my knights, for example, it's 3+ on the attack. Any unit over half strength gets 12 dice. If you're at half strength or less, you only get 6 dice. So over here, I form up into Wall of Spears and use the little shield wall marker there that I've got there to remind us of it. This allows him to receive +1 armor in combat, but not against shooting. So push the guys in the center a bit further up to try and trap in as many of his undead as I can. In the shooting, my scouts managed to nip off 2 of the mounted guys there. And this is how we look at the end of the turn. Unfortunately, the guys in the centre have also got a marker, so they must have gone into shield wall. Unfortunately, my opponent again tried to use his heavy missiles against my my cavalry. It was a 7+ and failed yet again, so unfortunately he didn't get to activate anything this turn. So that was 2 turns without activating anything in a game we had to get off the other side of the table edge, so he knew he was in trouble already. So straight into my turn, I start with my wild charges and have a go against the wizard and beat him up some more for the loss of 1, but now both of us, he's taken a 6 out of 12 wounds, and I've taken the 3 wounds out of 6, so we're now down to 6 attack dice. And he's pushed back half his movement value. My scouts do me proud and managed to plink off another couple of heavy cavalry there. Over to my opponent's turn, he decides to start doing the activations, which are slightly easier, and starts moving these offensive light infantry through the gap in the porcupines. And in need for more bodies, the summoner manages to raise up a ravenous horde of zombies. And so at the end of that turn, we'll look at something like this. He's starting to make a breakthrough between my 2 spearman units. His cavalry pull away from my crossbowmen, and my crossbowmen continue to start shooting the warriors in the centre. So my turn, I wild charge his summoner and finish him off for no losses. I also finally managed to move my general up into a position where he can now charge. His attack is a 3+ on 2 dice, so it's pretty easy compared to his movement on a 7+. And that's how things are looking at the end of my turn. So the undead player has a go at my elite knights again, and this time I come out on top. I managed to kill 1 with no loss for myself, and he broke after the morale roll. Keeping his skellies on the move, these guys are trying to run away from me. And after that, it came over to my turn. So with my wild charges, I try and take on the ravening horde. Even with my 6 attacks against his 12, I still managed to beat them. Since my armor's 4 and he's hitting on 6s, the chance of him rolling 6 4s of 12 dice ain't great. So he was going to have a hard time beating my elite chaps here. My crossbowmen shoot here. They failed the first time, but thankfully I get that nice reroll from my commander's trait, which allowed me to reroll a move, shoot, or attack action. Just take a few more of the spearmen out, making them nice and soft now for the charge. In which my general comes in and happily beats them up. So the game's looking like this. The skelly opponent is managed to get 1 unit to break through. But I think I've pretty much got the others cornered with no unit losses of my own. Things looking pretty good for me, and I think I probably have it. So Skelly keep running, And I believe he unfortunately fails a charge at the top there with his spear skellies, the Lightfoot. So over to my opponent, it's the Wild Charge, and again I go into the Ravening Horde. My 6 dice against his 12. My 6 hitting on 3s, his 12 hitting on 6s. I think he's armor 1, so each hit I'm doing is a wound. In return, he is I'm armor 4, so he needs 4 hits to do 1 wound to me. So no hits to me, and after the courage check, they fail. Courage check is taken on 2 dice, and add the result together, taking away any modifiers, which include the amount of wounds you've taken so far. So you then have your courage value, which is normally about 4 up or 3 up. If it's above 0 and below your courage value, you become battered, you get a marker. If it's above your courage value, you're absolutely fine. And if you're 0 or below, the unit just routes and is removed from the table. So in this case here, the Ravening Horde's magic has dissipated and these guys have left. Unfortunately, my opponent's turn was quite quick. As you see, my guys are quickly chasing up. But unfortunately, he fails a movement check for the offensive skellies down there that they're trying to get away. It goes straight back to my turn. Unfortunately, my Wild Charge means I have to charge his Spearman, and I'm going uphill, so his Spearman up to armor 3, and he's on his best results. He'll be hitting on 4s because Spearmen are better in defense than the attack. So I lose the combat, I'm pushed back down the hill, I'm down to 1 guy, I fail my courage check. I think I roll a 2, and my courage is 3 up, so I am battered. And in the case here, next turn all I can do is rally, and if I fail my check again, I can't then be battered again, but what happens, I retreat and I lose 1 strength point as well. So in this case it will finish me off anyway, and of course if I roll 0 or less, I fall back altogether. My Spearman desperately trying to catch him, I'm hoping for another fail on his movement, but so far he seems to be picking up speed. Now I'm chasing him. So in my turn I managed to move up my troops to try and catch him. In the background there you can also see my cavalryman has lost his battle marker, so he's passed his courage check, and everything else is as you see. So my opponent manages another move and keeps his distance from my units. Seeing my unit by itself, he decides to charge down the hill, even the damage he's got, to defeat the last chap, which they do. And this is the last shot of the game. My opponent nearly runs off with his troops at the end there, while my other spearmen decide to come out the shield wall and chase off his other spearmen, and they flee. So at the end of that, we add up the conquest points. I get 2 points for each destroyed unit, which I think put me on 5, so 10 points. My bonus quests I went for was don't let a unit be destroyed by shooting, which none was, so I got my 1 point for that. Destroy my enemy's leader, so I think I got 2 points for that. And the other one was Avenge the Fallen, which I get to pick one of his units. Basically I have to take vengeance out on them and destroy them, and I picked his cavalry for that. So they were done as well, so I think that put me on 13, 14 points. Fortunately my opponent got 3 points for each unit he got off, in which case he got the 1. He also did the Avenge Fallen one to take out my my cavalry. He managed to get extra 2 points for that, for 5. And finally he chose to I can't remember, he did 2 other ones, but unfortunately he failed them, and in that case he lost 2 points, so it's back down to 3. So it's 13-3, but a really good game. For the first game of Dragon Rampant, it was a good introductory game to try things out. Like the rules, they're nice and simple. I think we're going to have a little campaign running because they're pretty basic to use. Any miniatures goes, and with all of that we should have quite a bit of interest down at the club. So hopefully see a couple more of these, and then I'll see you next time. Farewell. Hey guys, just a quick reminder to say I've got this giveaway of a Saga rulebook, some Saga dice, both the Christian faction for Present Cross and the Viking faction dice as well. Just to find out more, check out my Celt School video. It should have the winner of the last competition on it and what you have to do for the next one. So I'll see you on the next time.